You begged for her time, but she didn't flinch. You stayed up fixing things, and she barely blinked. Even when you started to pull away, she didn't stop you. She thought silence was power. She believed distance meant strength. But now, something is shifting. Quietly. Inside her. No warning. No words. Just a slow ache she wasn't ready for. Let's talk about the moment she really starts missing you. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's when her ego loses the battle. Step 1. When her ego finally breaks. When her ego finally breaks, it's not through a meltdown. There are no tears on the floor, no late-night calls. It happens quietly, slowly, in moments she never thought would affect her. At first, the silence feels like victory. She tells herself she did the right thing. Cutting you off felt like strength. Not reaching out made her feel powerful. Her ego comforts her with thoughts like, he'll come back. He's the one who lost me. I'm better off. But time has a funny way of revealing truth. Days pass, then weeks. Still, nothing from you. No message, no fight, no chase, and that silence. That silence starts to speak louder than any words could. She expected you to argue, to beg, to prove her importance, but you didn't. You stayed silent. You let her go. That's when the mirror appears. Not a real one, but the kind only silence brings. And for the first time, she sees herself without your reflection. And it doesn't feel good. Her pride stops her from reaching out, but her thoughts, they betray her. Now when her phone buzzes and it's not your name, she notices. When she posts something hoping you will see it, and you don't react, she feels it. She was ready for arguments. She was ready for closure. She even prepared herself for your coldness. But peace? She wasn't ready for that. Because peace means she can't pull you back, can't trigger you, can't make you feel again. And that's when she realizes something powerful. She may have won the battle, but she lost the connection. What her ego was really doing. Her ego wasn't strength. It was armor. It was the wall she used to push you away. It whispered things like, you don't need him. Stay silent, he'll break. But you didn't. And that silence turned into acceptance. She begins to see it wasn't that she didn't care. It was that she chose image over intimacy, power over vulnerability. And now, that image doesn't feel powerful anymore. It feels fake, empty. She's not admired, she's not chased, she just feels replaceable. That's a hard truth to swallow. When her ego finally lets go. Her ego tries one last time. It says, maybe he's still waiting. But inside, she knows. She waited too long. And in that moment, another voice appears. A quiet one. It doesn't yell, it doesn't blame, it just hurts. Not because she lost a game, but because she lost something real. And for the first time, she realizes the silence she used as a weapon has turned on her. Step 2. When attention stops feeling like love. At first, attention feels good. She gets likes, compliments, DMs. People notice her, they desire her, and it works. For a while, she tells herself, I'm fine. I've moved on. I don't need him. She walks into a room and eyes turn. She posts a selfie and hearts pour in. It feels powerful. It feels like freedom. But then it hits. Not all at once, but little by little. The empty side of validation. The compliments sound the same. The conversations feel shallow. They admire her looks, her laugh, her presence, but not her pain, not her depth, not her soul. No one sees the way she overthinks before bed. No one sees the sarcasm she uses to hide emotion. No one notices the little things. But you did. And that's when it starts. The quiet comparisons. Not out loud, not to anyone else, just in her mind. She remembers the way you looked at her, the way you understood her without needing words, the way your silence had meaning, not distance. She's surrounded now, but she's not connected. She has attention, but she doesn't feel seen. She hears a joke, and it makes her think of the way you used to laugh. Someone compliments her, but it doesn't land the same. Not like it did when it came from you. She starts realizing something very quietly. Being admired by many isn't the same as being understood by one. Being wanted for how she looks isn't the same as being valued for who she is. At first, she thought attention would heal her, that it would fill the gap. But now that attention feels different. Cheap, empty, performative. It's like being on stage putting on a show for people who don't even know what they're clapping for. When validation becomes noise. What once felt like power now feels like noise. She checks her phone, sees notifications, but there's no excitement. She goes out, but she feels tired before the night even begins. She entertains conversations, flirts, smiles, but it all feels draining, not energizing. There's no spark, no depth, no real connection. She tells herself to enjoy it. Because this is what she was told empowerment looks like, right? Freedom, options, attention. But inside, it feels hollow. Late at night, scrolling through messages from people who only scratch the surface, a small ache rises. She starts to feel like she traded something sacred for something superficial. And even as the world gives her more likes, more eyes, more praise, she's never felt less seen. Because attention is not connection. Here's the truth she never expected. Attention can distract her from absence, but it can't replace it. And when the distraction fades, she's left with silence again. But this time, the silence isn't from you. It's from within. Because no matter how full her inbox is, her heart still feels empty. That's when the comparisons start creeping in. Quiet ones. The kind she doesn't say out loud. The kind she can't avoid. Step 3. When memories compete with reality. It doesn't happen all at once. It begins with a subtle emptiness. She convinces herself she's moved on. She stays busy. New people, new places, new distractions. Everything should feel new, fresh, exciting, like she's writing a better chapter. And on the surface, it does. She dresses up. She posts pictures. She smiles like she's untouchable. But deep inside, there's a gap, an invisible emotional static, like something's missing. Even in the best moments. Memories don't knock. They enter. The memories don't show up like nostalgia. They show up as comparison. She's out with someone new. They're kind, funny, maybe even say more sweet things than you ever did. But they don't get her humor. They don't understand her silence. She has to explain herself. Things she never had to explain with you. She smiles. She nods. She plays along. But her mind isn't here anymore. It's back with you. Remembering what felt real. She remembers the way you understood her without words. The long talks that flowed effortlessly. The quiet moments that were never awkward. They were safe, comforting. And no matter how perfect this new person seems on paper, they don't have what you had. She tells herself not to romanticize the past. She reminds herself you had flaws, that maybe it wasn't meant to be. But memory doesn't listen to logic. It listens to emotion. The echoes that stay. A song, a smell, a place you once walked together. Suddenly, she's not here anymore. She's sitting in your car, laughing about something silly, or lying next to you in a silence that felt like home. The memories don't just visit, they invade. And she doesn't stop them, because a part of her needs them, needs to feel something real again. Truth. She can't escape. She fights it. She tells herself you weren't perfect. She reminds herself of the reasons it ended. But the truth, she's not chasing a fantasy. She's haunted by connection, by the realness of what you shared. New people can make her smile, but they can't make her feel understood. New conversations fill the time, but they don't fill the space you left behind. She keeps trying, keeps going out, keeps making memories, but the more she makes, the more she sees they don't compare. They don't have weight, or warmth, or meaning. They don't stay. They don't echo. Because memories born from connection carry a gravity. And every time she tries to feel something new, that gravity pulls her back. It's not that she wants to go back. It's not about missing the relationship itself. It's deeper than that. It's that her past starts making her question the value of her present. That's where the confusion begins. She's not fully in the moment anymore. She's split. 1 foot in the now, 1 foot in what used to be. This emotional tug-of-war starts to wear her down. Even the brightest days begin to feel like faded echoes of something she once had with you. Step 4. When her control starts to slip. This part doesn't begin with a meltdown. There's no obvious breakdown, no sudden panic. It starts subtly, in ways even she doesn't recognize at first. You see, control has always been her security blanket, her defense mechanism, her way of staying powerful, untouchable. She creates the rules, she controls the pace. She decides when things begin and when they end. Control X safety, or so she believed. But here's the truth no one talks about. Control only works when someone is still reacting. The moment you stopped reacting, the illusion cracked. At first, she thought you were playing games. Maybe you were being silent just to provoke her. So, she waited. She posted things to catch your attention. She sent messages through friends. She tested your silence. But nothing came. No text, no chase, no reaction. And that's when the unraveling truly began. When her mind becomes the battlefield. Her thoughts become restless. She replays your lack of response. She watches your life unfold online. Calm, consistent, even content. Each time you don't react, each time your silence remains solid, a part of her control begins to erode. She thought walking away would feel powerful, that her silence would make you chase, that your missing her would restore her sense of worth. But your peace disorients her. Your refusal to play the game leaves her exposed to something she wasn't ready for, the reality of not being in control. When she starts watching you now, she watches your stories without engaging. She analyzes every post, trying to find signs of weakness, sadness, regret. But what she finds instead is strength. You're not bitter, you're not angry, you're just free. And nothing scares her more than seeing you free while she feels trapped in her own thoughts. Her inner calm begins to shake. She becomes reactive. Short replies, mixed signals, sudden interest, then cold silence again. These are the signs, not of confidence, but of someone trying to reclaim power that no longer belongs to her. Her control? It starts to look like desperation, wrapped in indifference. She won't say it out loud, but inside she knows. She's spiraling, because you're no longer giving her anything to control. Now, all she's left with is herself. No distraction, no dominance, no ability to dictate the ending. Step 5. When she watches you detach without revenge. This is the moment that shakes her the most. Not because you fought back, but because you didn't. She was ready for your anger, your cold words, your attempts to make her jealous. That's what she expected, because that's what most people do when they're hurt. They lash out. They chase. They try to prove their worth by creating noise. But you responded with stillness. Not silence used as punishment, not distance used as manipulation. You simply let go. And you didn't need to announce it. You weren't trying to win. You weren't trying to look happy. You were happy. You were at peace. You stopped pouring energy into a place that no longer filled you back. That kind of peace is powerful. She may not admit it to anyone, but she notices everything. Your tone? No longer reactive. Her mixed signals? Met with calm. Her subtle provocations? Met with no need to explain. And that shakes her more than any revenge ever could, because real detachment doesn't scream. It simply stops showing up. It walks away, quietly, but completely. It doesn't try to erase anyone. It just stops trying to be seen by someone who never really looked. When she finally understands, that's when something finally clicks for her. You didn't detach because you stopped caring. You detached because you started caring about yourself more. And that kind of growth, that kind of quiet strength, it changes everything. It shows her a mirror she can't escape. Because all this time, she thought she had the power, but real power was in your peace. Final thoughts. She may never tell you what you meant. She may never apologize or reach out, but she'll remember. She'll remember the calm you brought, the way you made her feel safe in silence, the way your love didn't need noise to be felt, and most of all, she'll remember that you walked away. Not to hurt her, not to get even, but because you finally saw your own worth. And nothing haunts someone more than realizing they lost something real, not to revenge, but to peace. When you don't fight back, when you don't seek revenge, she begins to suspect something changed. Not in you, but within her. It's not about going back. It's about her past haunting her present. Her memories cast a shadow over her now. She's no longer fully present. 1 foot in today, 1 foot in what used to be. That internal tug of war wears her down. Even her brightest moments begin to feel like echoes of what you once shared. Step 4. When her control starts to slip. Her control doesn't fail with a loud snap. It slips softly, almost unnoticed. Control was her safety blanket. It shaped the rules, maintained her image, and preserved her pride. She believed she decided the pace, the narrative, the outcome. But control only exists when someone reacts. When you stopped reacting, everything crumbled quietly from the inside. At first, she thought you were manipulating her with silence. She posted, watched, tested reactions. Nothing happened. Silence stayed. Her control began to unravel. Step 5. Watching you detach without revenge. She expected an emotional war. Anger, jealousy, manipulation. She was ready for noise, but instead, she met stillness. A calm peace untouched by ego or drama. You didn't show off. You didn't chase. You just let go. With dignity, clarity, and self-respect. And that disconnect rattled her more than any vengeance ever could. Your silence had meaning. Your peace had power. Detaching without seeking reaction is the strongest statement one can make. Step 6. When life calms down and reflection begins. In the chaos, she avoided feeling by staying busy. Scrolling, chatting, partying, anything to escape the truth. But eventually, the noise faded. Texts slowed, people drifted, late nights ended. For the first time, she was alone with her thoughts. And that's when everything changed. A quiet moment, an old song, a familiar scent, it brings her back. Not in nostalgia, but in clarity. When the external noise dies down, the internal world screams. Reflection doesn't ask permission, it just arrives. It doesn't comfort, it clarifies. She replays your patience, your quiet strength, memories of your presence, your empathy, your consistent calm, even when she was cold. With every flashback, she sees herself more clearly, not as the person she pretended to be, but as the version who pushed something real away. Letting go of the past may feel like loss, but it reveals a truth. You were never the one who failed her. You were the one she couldn't receive, yet needed most. Truth finally settles. In her realization isn't loud. It's an ache, steady and deep, because it's not about admitting defeat. It's about recognizing what she lost. Not love, not passion, but connection. She doesn't miss the chase. She doesn't miss the validation. She misses you, the real you, when you finally remembered your own worth. That kind of transformation isn't noise. It doesn't plead. It doesn't expect. It just is. When you move into your peace, without proving, without demanding, you become impossible to forget.